welcome to the channel. I'm Dustin. This is Smoking Eagle's Rod Shop, and today we're going to be working on Carmen Electra, specifically the front rotors. 2026 burnout season is fast approaching. We've got a couple of weeks, and I've got a handful of things on the old list here to get done on the old girl here. Now, front rotors, it's needed them for a long time. We just, you know, they've been kind of down on the list, so I got the rotors. We're going to get these off. We're going to repack the bearings, and I'm going to show you how to do all that. I know a lot of you guys probably already know how, but there are a lot of people getting into old cars, classic cars, and they've never worked on old 80s GM stuff, and they go, why is the bearings removable? Why are they part of the rotor? What is going on here? Well, I'm going to explain it all. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. Should only take us a few minutes, so let's jump right in. All right, so I got the front wheel off, and one thing that I highly recommend anytime you're doing front end work on any vehicle is leave your steering wheel unlocked. That way, like these bolts here on the back side of the caliper, we need to get to them, we just turn the wheel by hand. It makes it easily accessible in the back. Now, this is a 3/8 Allen. I've had this old school Allen wrench around for many years. Always keep a good one of these things laying around, because if these have been on for a long time, maybe you've never redone the brakes, you just got the car and they're from 1975, they're going to be seized on there pretty dang good. And one of these is super handy. You can tap it in and then you can smack it and break them loose. You can use the torch, heat it up a little bit. These, luckily, are going to come right out because I put new calipers on this when I first got Carmen going. I just didn't put rotors on it. I just cleaned them up a little bit. You know, we had 100 things we had to get figured out. And rotors just didn't make the cut. So we're going to pull these pins out. Now, some cars may have bolts, not these Allen wrenches, but all the old 70s and 80s GM stuff, they're going to take an Allen wrench. Got brand new pins. We're going to remove these. Now that I got those pins removed, we're just going to remove the caliper. Sometimes they slide right off. Sometimes they're a little bit stuck. You got to give them a little bit of prying. Get them to wiggle loose. Get them at the right angle. Right angle of the dangle. See there? She's coming out. I didn't even change the pads because the pads were pretty good on this, but the rotors are trashed. So now that I got this popped off, right like that, you see a big old groove in that pad. The back one's really bad. Look at that. Holy crap. Lots of burnouts though. She's holding strong. Got an old coat hanger here. Just put it right through here. I can hang this baby right over here, and then it doesn't put a bunch of pressure on our hose. I actually want to move that up a little bit. I don't like the way that's hanging. Just going to move it up to a higher spot. Perfect. Now that's good to go. We can swing this back around. It's like that. Now we got to pop this cap off. This is the bearing cap. Just going to take a flat screwdriver, set it down in there, tap it with the hammer, and it'll start popping out of there. Sometimes them are stuck way in there. Don't worry, those are super cheap. You can order them literally anywhere. I think Walmart carries them on the shelf because they're the same on all kinds of different axle trailers and boat trailers, and you name it, it's probably got it. Now is where it starts getting kind of gross. We got a nut and a cotter pin we got to get out of here. First thing I got to do is scrape some of this sludge out of here so we can even see what we're doing. I'll clean this up a little bit and then I'll get you in here so you can see what we're working with. All right, so it appears that somebody just packed a bunch of clean grease right on top of all the old grease. Wonder who could have done that. Anyway, it made that job a little slimy, but if you can see right there, we've got a cotter pin. We got to take that out, and then we got a castle nut. We got to get that off, and it's not gonna, that castle nut's not going to be very tight. Look, I can wiggle it right there. So I'll tap this up right up out of here. enough I can get a hold of it with some pliers. Come on. I might be able to get a hold of it now. And then tap it out. Just like that. Shing. Got our nut. Should spin right off that spindle. Yeah, that's gross. Okay, then we got a washer. You may have one or two different washers. Different cars kind of have a little different setup, or somebody may have already been in there and lost the original washer, but the washer should have a tab on there. I'll show you that once I get it all cleaned up out of the parts washer. I just got to get all this crud out of here first. Then we should have our bearing. Set this on the ground so I can just start stacking our junk in there. Should have put gloves on. There's our outer bearing. They're usually smaller. And then our rotor will slide right off. Like so. And then on the back side, we have our inner bearing and a seal. I may have to go pick us up a new seal because this one looks like it's fried. But yeah, that's pretty easy there. That's all disassembled. I'll go ahead and pull that apart a little bit more, get it all cleaned up in the parts washer, and I'll show you what we got over on the bench. Oh, and I'm gonna wipe all this crud off and hit it with a little brake clean. So I got everything all cleaned up. You can see we've got our seal, both of our bearings, our washer with the little tab like I was telling you about, our castle nut, our new rotor, and I've got this all cleaned up. As you can see, that all looks really, really good. This even had this little rubber gasket that kind of goes up there. It's just a little seal thing to help keep the grease inside the wheel bearing. Now this is our old seal and it's in really good shape. The rubber is still nice and rubbery. And when you stick it on here, it lines up perfectly and fits right on here. Just like that. That's what you want. And you want this surface all cleaned up nice. Now how did I get this seal and this bigger bearing out? Well, this bearing is right down inside here. The seal's on top of it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna flip your old rotor over, just like so. You're gonna take a punch, like this. You're gonna stick it down in there and you wanna be on this flat of your bearing and just work your way around. I go back and forth like that and just kind of tap on it with a hammer. You're not beating it out of there, you're tapping it out of there and kind of work it down out of there and it'll pop out. Now if your seal is still in good shape like ours is, it's gonna come right out, you're gonna be able to reuse it. If your seal's damaged, it's probably gonna come out all banged up and the rubber's gonna be destroyed and you're gonna have to buy a new $4 seal. Not a big deal. Even the bearings and the seals, all this could be had for like 20 bucks nowadays. Just, I recommend getting very good bearings made in the USA, like Timken. There's a couple of different brands that make them that still come from the US. I recommend buying those bearings. You're gonna take your new rotor, wipe it off, hit it with a little brake clean, wipe off the shipping oils that they ship because they're no good for your braking situation. And then yeah, you're ready to start slapping this thing together. So I'm going to take these bearings over and we're going to grease them with my bearing greaser. Now you can grease these the old school way, just with your hand, and you get a big old glob of grease and you work your way around and you pack these things full. But I got one of these. It's on sale somewhere for $5, $10, whatever. It's a bearing packer. And you just take this, unscrew it like so. If it needs more grease, it's got a grease zerk here, so you can just fill the bottom of this with grease. See how that's all full there? You're gonna take your bearing, and this is cone shaped down, so you're gonna set it right down in there, that direction, just like that. You're gonna take this, stick it down on here. All you're gonna do is push down until you see grease come out of the top of the bearing. Just gonna keep going like that until you get grease coming all the way up out of the top of your bearing. And it'll push all the old junk grease out that's left in there, because I couldn't get it all out when I was cleaning it. So there you can see all that old crusty grease. I'm just going to take a rag and my finger, get that out, and keep going until it's all fresh, clean grease. Got a bunch of that out of there. Keep on going. Nice, kind of wiggle it around, putting pressure on it, and it just. I guess a little more dirt out of there. There's really nothing wrong with that grease. It's got a little bit of gross stuff in it. Nothing too crazy. So we're going to pull this bearing out just like that. Put grease around the outside of it. It's greased up real good. Just like that. And I'm going to go set this in our rotor, because you got to put the big one in first. So here we are at our rotor, and one thing I forgot to tell you is to make sure your new rotor has a bearing race down in there. If it doesn't, you're going to need to remove it from your old rotor or go get a new one. So we're just going to set that right down in there like that, and then I'm going to put some grease around the top from my grease here. You can't really have too much grease, but you can definitely have not enough grease. And if you don't know how grease really works, it's really thick and slimy, but when it heats up, it turns almost to a liquid like motor oil. And then it lubricates very, very, very well. And then when you stop driving, it cools back off and turns back into this slimy, gooey mess, just like this. And then it doesn't just run out. So your seals don't have to be as good. And yeah, it's a lot better at withstanding super high heat. And that one's good. So now we just got to tap the seal in. Now on the seal, it is directional. So as you can see, that kind of tapers back this way. So we want that to be up because we're going to slide it on and we want it to climb up on that diameter for the seal over on the car. So we're going to put it in just like this. Boom, just like that. I'm going to get a hammer and a chunk of wood. We're going to tap it down there. I do have a bearing and seal setter, but you don't need that thing. Got us a block of wood. Set it across there. Actually, I'm going to flip it over because this side's a lot better. Hold it square. Get it started. Perfect. Just like that. When you tap that in, you just need it flush with that top surface, and you're good to go. You can see we got plenty of grease in there. Grease on the inside of there doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt anything. I always like to put a little bit of extra down in that middle, so when it warms up, it kind of, I don't know, makes you feel good. Probably doesn't do anything, but it makes you feel good. So let's flip this over and get our other bearing packed and toss it in here. So here's some grease. I just get me a big old glob of it, stick it right down in behind this bearing race, just kind of wipe it down around in there. A little more. That's not gonna hurt nothing. Perfect. So we're gonna set this bearing down in here just like we did the first one. Oops. Throw that across the room. Exact same process, just set it down on here. And then you're gonna push. Kind of self-centers. And then you just, and boom. We're re-greased and ready to hit the streets. So I'm just going to set this right down in there like that. And then I'm going to take some extra grease. Get the grease right down around this top edge. I mean, it's on your fingers, so you might as well just try and get it in there. It's not cookie dough. Or is it? I'm just messing with you. All right, that's good. All right, all we've got left to do now is bolt this baby together. I got us a brand new cotter pin here. I got our torque wrench out, and I have consulted the Encyclopedia of Man Knowledge, the old Chilton's Auto Repair Manual. If you don't have a whole library of these things, you need to start working on that. Now, it wants us to torque this baby to 19 foot-pounds while rotating the wheel. And we're going to back the nut off until the bearings are loose, retorque the spindle nut to 11 foot-pounds while rotating the wheel. And then if the cotter pin lines up, you're good. If it doesn't, you want to back it up to the closest hole and toss it in. It also says here, if it doesn't line up, blah, 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 1/12 of a turn. Anyway, yeah, it says 2/1000 to 6/1000 end play is normal. So you could have just a little bit of end play there. I got out our handy dandy Pittsburgh torque wrench because, well, it's the only one I have that goes down to 11 foot-pounds. That's not like 1/4 inch drive. Because if not, I'd be stacking adapters to get a 1/4 inch torque wrench to 1 inch and a 1/16 socket. So anyway, let's get this slapped on here. Now when you slide this on here, be careful. Make sure you hit the hole. I've been known to miss the outside bearing, knock it out on the floor, cover it with mud, and then have to redo the front bearing. Got lucky this time. Now your washer's going to go on with your little tooth in the little tooth hole, just like so. We're going to put our nut on here. Just like so. Like they said, they want you to kind of spin this thing. That kind of disperses the grease and helps it all kind of seat in there. Now we're seating the bearings. There it stopped. So I'm going to loosen it. And you can see it still spins. It's just, you can tell there's quite a bit of resistance on it. So now we're going to loosen it up. Back her down to 11 foot-pounds. There's 10, go to 11. And again, they want us rotating it while we do it. There it is. And there's a little bit of tension on it. So we've got one that almost lines up there. That one is really close. So we're gonna flip this baby. We're gonna loosen it up just enough that that one will line up. A little bit more. Just a smidgen. Perfect. Toss our cotter pin in. I always put them in from the top, that way they can't just fall out, but of course you're gonna twist it anyway, so it really can't fall out. It's just makes you feel good. Whoa, trying to knock my teeth out with this. The world's tiniest pair of needle nose pliers. Bada boom, bada bing. Now we just got to toss our center cap back in. This one's got some gross stuff. I'm going to go wipe it off. I've got this cool brake compressor tool. It's the cheap Pittsburgh from Harbor Freight. Works great when they do their 30% off all Maddox or Pittsburgh or whatever tools. Just go in there, pick you one of these things up. It's a lot easier than the old C-clamp method, which I did for many, many, many years until I picked this up for like $18 or $15 or something. Probably 10 years ago now. One thing you want to do is you want to toss a little bit of white lithium grease on these threads. Just makes it operate a lot better. Because, you know, everybody likes lube. And then you're going to pick your spacer, like this one here. This one has a little tab on it because you can use it on all different kinds of calipers. There's a whole bunch of these spacers in the kit. I slap it on backwards like this. Bada boom, bada bing. This piece is the piece that pushes on the opposite side of your caliper. You're going to slide it over your handle, just like that. And it's going to be on here, just like this. Now, let's get our caliper in place here. Unhook it from our hook. Swing it up here. And you're going to want to use your old brake pad to cover this giant radius here. So you got this huge circle for the piston caliper on these old cars like this. So you're going to want your old brake pad up here like this so that your compressor tool pushes right in the middle of that junk brake pad and will compress your caliper. And you want to pop the lid loose on your master cylinder to give that fluid somewhere to go when you compress this, because that's going to have to move the fluid out of this caliper and it's got to go somewhere, and it needs to go back into the master cylinder. Loosening that cap makes a big difference, and you want to go slow because if it's completely full, it is going to dribble a little bit and you don't want it to spray everywhere. You want to be able to just wipe it up when you're done. So I'm going to set you down and I'll get this compressing. Lucky for us, old Carmen here, she's inner fender deleted, so you have to open the hood to do that. So like I said, I'm just going to set this in here. Right like this. That's going to go right down in there like that. Then you just spin this until it gets up there close. Now they got a nut on here so you can hang on to this with a wrench or a pair of pliers. You generally shouldn't have to do that unless your calipers are like super froze up. Because as you can see, I can just hold it with my hand. I turn it just a little bit, give it a second, turn it a little more, just like that. Wait a second, give that fluid time to kind of move. You can just cram her down. You're gonna make a huge mess. You're gonna be grumpy. Just drink your coffee, give it a little bit of time for that fluid to find somewhere to go. There's no sense in putting unnecessary pressure everywhere. You ain't trying to cause problems. I'm gonna go get a drink of coffee and grab our new pads, come back. This will be about ready. Now on these older cars, there's one other thing that you want to do on these calipers. If you can see right here, this is a spacer and there's a little rubber grommet inside there, and as your calipers move in that direction, as your pads wear, that little spacer moves and your caliper actually travels across that spacer. So what you want to do is you want to push it all the way out like that. Sometimes they're stiffer than others. That one, the rubber's about wore out on. And see, that one's a little stiffer. Push it with my hand all the way back like that. So then when we go to put it on, it's not going to hit this rotor and make it more difficult to put this back together. Like I said, sometimes they're a lot stiffer than that, and I use a pair of pliers, and you just kind of get on both sides and go kind of like that, and just push her in till she lines up. So we got a back pad and a front pad, and they come with this little clip. All this clip really does is help keep it from rattling and holds the pad centered up on and back inside your caliper there. Sometimes they need tweaked so that they fit a little better. These clips is what I'm talking about. Sometimes they don't come bent quite right. I always forget how they go in. They either clip this way from the top or from the other side. I can never remember. It goes from the other side. I put it on upside down, and I know that because when I put this in, if you can see, it's trying to push the pad away from the caliper and not hold it in for me. So I'm going to flip it around, and it's going to push the pad down, and that's going to hold it in place when we slap this baby together. So I need to pop this back off of here, spin it around. Now, when we put it up here, if you can see right there, when I push this in, now it holds it in place for us, just like we want it. Our outside pad is going to sit right down in here like this. Of course, it's all going to sit right in there like that. Of course, everything's trying to fall apart on me because I'm holding you and all this stuff. So now we're just going to pick this up, make sure our hose isn't kinked up, and slide it right on there. Reinsert our slide pins. I'm going to put just a little bit of grease on there. They make special grease for that caliper grease. They even have little packets at the parts store. Grab you a couple of packets of them babies and keep them in your pocket. I got a big bottle because I do this a lot. But yeah. Okay, slide her right down in there. Now she can't go anywhere. You don't need it on the threads. You just need it down here on this piece. And you don't need a ton, just a little bit, just to let her kind of slide around in there. Get her to line up like that. Get her started, but don't tighten her down because you're going to need to wiggle her a little bit to get the bottom one in. As Matt likes to call it, the wiggler. The wiggler. Sorry, it's an inside joke. I'll let you in on it. When my son was like 3, he loved Batman. He watched all the old Batman stuff on Netflix or wherever. And he just absolutely loved Batman. And he couldn't say Riddler. He called him the Wiggler. And for like a long time, he's like, oh, the Wiggler, the Wiggler. We're like, what are you talking about? What is a Wiggler? And then we found out he like got all mad and he's like stomps off to his room and he comes back and he's got a little Riddler guy. It's like a Lego or something. Anyway, he comes back and he's like, the Wiggler! And he was all sorts of mad. So yeah, we tease him about that once in a while. The Wiggler. Okay, I'm sure there's some torque spec on that, but I usually just do TAF. If you don't know what that is, somebody will let you know in the comments below. And we're good here. Just like that. If that'll come out of there. There we go. Get our hook out of the frame for the other side on our caliper. Slap our wheel back on. I know. Don't put that on with an impact. good to go. And play. We've got no play. It's nice and tight, spins super free. Like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends. We've got merch available on our website if you guys are interested in any of that stuff. We also have a membership program here on YouTube. Throws a couple bucks my way, helps me bring you guys these videos. I know a lot of you guys out there already know how to do this. This is all old information, but there's a lot of new guys out there getting into these older cars. And this stuff, if you don't know, an easy job is a hard job. So, yeah, thanks for hanging out with me in the shop here. We got a Facebook group over on Facebook. Go join that so you can like, comment, have a good time, conversate with us over there on your project and what you're doing. And until next time, keep on wrenching.